So people in high stress situations, and the demographic I really like to work with are first responders and veterans, is if you're in that stressful situation all the time, you can't express yourself, you can't cry when you see
death.
Yeah, you can't respond emotionally to that, because not only are other people's lives at stake, yours is too.
Sure.
And so you have to be solid in that situation and hold everything that you're feeling, including injuries. Let's say you get shot, or you still have to operate through that. You still have to do what you have to do to get everybody to a safe place, and then deal with it later somehow, but then we don't go back and deal with it later.
So today I want to introduce you guys to our massage therapist at the Silent Partner Marketing, but there's a reason, a very specific reason why I want to introduce you to Julie. Julie has a background of service, and today we're going to dive into that in a way that I really believe is going to help a lot of people who are watching this. So first of all, Julie, thanks for coming on the show. You brought something whiskey related, right? What do we have going on here? This is pretty cool.
From a company that's an all-women run and owned distillery in Hartford, and they do herbal infused liquors. It's really good. But I don't drink whiskey, and if I was going to do any talking, I needed something that would go down a little smoother. So that's aged in whiskey barrels, and it tastes kind of like whiskey, but it's a little smoother. So. And
what's beautiful about filming here is that we could pretend that it's not 9 o'clock in the morning when we're doing this.
Cheers.
So cheers to you. So let's talk first of all a little bit about your background. You served our country for quite some time, and you still do. Oh, that's fun.
It is good, isn't it?
That's really fun. I like that.
So, yes, 18 years in. I'm currently in the reserves. I did 14 years on active duty, and just got to a point where my body was aching too bad. Things that my peers didn't really know, because I hid it very well, was just the achiness, just getting up every morning and feeling the pain in my body. I was relying heavily on muscle relaxants, anything the Army doctors would give me, really. And it just got to a point where my stomach got really messed up. I was having trouble eating, sleeping, and that doesn't make for good, cognitive thinking in the workplace. So
sure.
I decided to take a little bit of a step back and go into the reserves, and I started looking for alternatives to what I was feeling, because I did my own research. I couldn't believe that, here I was 35 years old and in all this pain, and doctors telling me, oh, you have arthritis, you have, I had some TBI, which has gotten better after a year at a head injury clinic.
Oh my God.
But reconstructed ankle, just different things, and just my body wasn't recovering very well. Had really bad eating habits. It just didn't feel like I had time throughout the day to eat, so that, that just compounded just everything all together, plus the PTSD, plus, stressors, and childhood trauma. Just everything just kind of culminated to a point where I was having a really hard time. And while I never let my work, fail, because that was the one thing that was solid for me. That was the one thing that kept me going, was my career. I knew that if I had my career and if I stayed solid for my battle buddies, that I would always have a place in that family. And so I did a really good job of masking what was happening with me internally. Outwardly, I looked like I was fast tracking, I was doing really great. And then just one day it got too much for me, and I almost killed myself. And that was kind of a turning point. I did volunteer to spend 2 weeks in a facility, because I couldn't promise that I wouldn't try to do that again. Like, things seemed so bleak for me. Sure. that I really had a hard time promising that would never happen again. So the therapists weren't really keen on letting me go until I could do that. And it was through talking to, my commander and first sergeant were great. A a lot of my peers stepped up. I didn't really realize how much people cared about me until that happened. And especially my family, my siblings, and I are very close. And so that really kind of helped me get my head out of the gutter. Sure. And start looking for alternatives to what I was feeling and how I was doing. I was in an abusive marriage as well at the time, so that, of course, didn't help things along.
Of course.
But yeah, going forward from there, I found massage therapy initially, and I was looking for an alternative to the medications I was taking. So I've tried a lot of different things, like acupuncture, massage therapy, of course, aromatherapies, just trying to grasp at whatever people said, oh, this has worked for me, it should work for you. And really massage therapy is where I really felt like I was getting what my body needed as far as the aches and pains, and it was a good alternative to muscle relaxants, a little bit more expensive. It also put me in touch with a lot of things that I hadn't dealt with for a long time, especially the childhood trauma. And I didn't realize how uncomfortable it would be initially to get massage therapy with some of the issues that started cropping up after I came back from deployment. And I had mentioned to you earlier a little bit about how childhood trauma kind of plays a role in getting into the military. And for me, it was one of those things, like I always saw the Army or any of the services in general, you know, people in uniform look like they have it all together. They're confident, they can handle anything. And I wanted to be like that. I didn't want to be taken advantage of again, and I really wanted to belong to something that I could be proud of. That being said, it's hard to come back from that and kind of take a knee and say, well, here I am. I built myself up to be this really strong, outwardly confident. I can handle any situation. I can survive in any environment. And then go, yeah, well, no, I can't. I almost offed myself. So it's like, clearly, you know, something was amiss. My therapist said something really interesting to me, which was that a lot of us do go into those services because we're good at survival, and we're good at, you know, we've been in survival mode as kids. We knew how to survive that. We're good at adapting, at reading a room, at being, you know, handling conflict. And that was a little bit of an eye-opener to me, that there were more people like me that maybe joined the service. Not everybody, but a lot of people do join the service because that's what we're good at. We're good at handling stressful situations until it gets to be too much.
Sure.
And then, you know, taking a step back. So
when we were with an organization called Save a Warrior out in Ohio, Jake, the founder, one of the things that he mentioned was something that rarely is discussed in my experience in the worlds of law enforcement, fire, and especially the military, which is that for so many people, that post-traumatic stress, in their experience, I believe the number that he put it at was 80% of people who suffer from post-traumatic stress that have gone through their program, that PTS started long before they even went into the military or went into law enforcement. It started with that childhood trauma, but for so many people, they put up that wall, right? And they go into the service because they have all of those skills, but also because they want to protect others.
absolutely.
And, you know, I'm just so appreciative that you're willing to sort of talk about that a little bit, because it really is that unspoken thing that has led to so many of our men and women taking their own lives. Now that you're on that road to recovery and you're giving back and helping other people, what does that look like for you now?
Great job satisfaction. I have to say that I do miss being on active duty. That sense of purpose and mission is what I really did love about it. You always have a goal. You're always going after something, whether it's the next promotion, whether it's saving somebody's life, whether it's, in my case, interrogating people, getting intelligence information to save lives. What I do now, I love. I think I've found my passion, and that purposefulness has translated into a different way to save lives to me. I'm a licensed massage therapist, but I'm a myofascial release practitioner.
What does that mean?
So
I got the first part because
yes.
You're spectacular with it.
So thank you. So myofascial release is a physical therapy modality as taught by John Barnes. So There are many modalities out there that are myofascial release. The reason I really gravitated toward the John Barnes method was because he allows for the emotional expression to happen while also being treated physically. Emotions are felt 100% physically. You don't feel emotions in your mind, you feel them in your body. And your body is programmed. It has a set of processes and programming that says if you encounter this situation, this is how your body's going to feel. Especially with emotions, if you, let's say you feel scared, you're going to get chills, start sweating profusely. Something maybe a little less fearful like embarrassment, but still under the fear category, you blush. Maybe you have the urge to run away or to hide, scream. Maybe the response is freezing in place, but when you feel fear, you feel it in your body, and your body has this little protocol that it has to run through based on how bad the situation is. Your body's going to feel a certain way, and you're going to have certain impulses to do things.
It's that fight or flight mentality.
Right, fight or flight, like in the worst case scenarios, but even things that we would consider as, good emotions like love, happiness. If you feel happy, what do you want to do? Maybe dance, laugh,
drink whiskey.
Hug somebody. Yeah, your body feels it, and so it gives you these impulses that you need to kind of follow through with. Stress in this modality is when you prevent your body from completing a naturally occurring function or process. So what that means is we all know what stresses us out. It could be a bad home situation. It could be a bad work situation. Whatever it is, we know that stresses us out. But we don't have to be stressed. And that was the most important thing for me to understand, is that just because a situation is stressful doesn't mean you have to take that on physically. So if you're angry and you're having an argument and you want to yell and scream at somebody, but it's going to get you fired, or it's going to hurt somebody's feelings, or whatever the consequences might be, what do you have to do? You have to restrain yourself. So that might include clenching your jaw, literally biting your tongue. Tensing up, restraining yourself from enacting what your body naturally wants to do. That is stress. That's the tension that builds up in your system when you have emotional stress. So the therapy that I do allows for the expression of those stuck emotions. So that's one aspect of the therapy. And it works really well. You start getting your flexibility and your mobility back. You start being able to move again. Because you don't have all of this stuff restricting you that you're holding on to. More recent scientific research has shown that the fascial system communicates faster than the nervous system.
Wow.
And it's important to know what fascia is, because one of the main characteristics of fascia is that when exposed to stress, it contracts.
Got it.
And it could happen anywhere in the body. All of the muscles in your face go down into your neck and your shoulders, and guess what? If you're really good at masking your emotions, you have a ball of tension going on right here.
Sure.
That's gonna cause you neck and shoulder pain, no doubt. So the more we tense up and we restrain ourselves from honest expression, if you will, the more tension builds up in the body. But also physical injuries will do the same thing. If this shirt is my fascial system, and let's say I fall on my hip, what your system literally does is this. It bunches up and converges on that place where it feels the most threatened. So it affects everything. It doesn't just affect that one spot. It's pulling from here, wherever your body can get a little bit of slack, it's going to be pulling that out of your system. And it's not as linear as we want to think. Everything is connected, but it's not going to act just as, this one particular muscle, or this one artery or vein. It's your whole body has to work around it. So it's a very holistic approach to the body and to treating the body. What I do, like literally the techniques that are used to address this, is sustained pressure. If we're talking energy, for your body to really converge on a point where it feels threatened, whether that's because you're clenching your jaw all day long because you can't say what you think, or whether that's a physical injury that's tightened down and locked down around an injury to heal, that takes a lot of energy. So people in high stress situations, and the demographic I really like to work with are first responders and veterans, is if you're in that stressful situation all the time, you can't express yourself. You can't cry when you see
death.
yeah, you can't respond emotionally to that, because not only are other people's lives at stake, yours is too.
Sure.
And so you have to be solid in that situation and hold everything that you're feeling, including injuries. Let's say you get shot, or you still have to operate through that. You still have to do what you have to do to get everybody to a safe place, and then deal with it later somehow, but then we don't go back and deal with it later.
Right.
The more your body starts tugging and pulling the slack out of your system, the more energy is being diverted to do that. I can only hold a fist as long as I have energy to do it. If I get hungry, thirsty, tired, I'm not doing anything.
Right.
So people who are very stressed are usually chronically fatigued, because their body maybe has an excess of energy, but it's being diverted to all the areas that your body feels very threatened in. And so it's trapped energy. You have electricity, thermal energy. Your body works on all kinds of energy. We're like batteries. You eat, drink, you sleep, you charge your battery up, and then hopefully you can do work or play or whatever it is that you want to do, right?
Yep.
But when you get to that point where eating, drinking, and sleeping is not enough, or you can't even do that right because of the situations that you're in, what do? You start getting that fatigue. Maybe some people turn to alcohol, some people turn to drugs, some people turn, whatever will help them to relax or feel better, or avoid, thinking about all the things that are their problems, because that's stressful, right? More stress, right? And pain, your body tenses up from pain too. So that adds to the stress.
And you become like the iPhone after the next update that'll only charge to about 40% and will make it through the day.
Perfect example.
I got
Way
you.
to throw iPhone in there. Piezoelectric charges is what is being created when you apply that sustained pressure, because it's, crystal on crystal, and you're creating a pressure electric charge, really, if you will. So what happens is, hopefully the body goes, I don't have to use my energy to do this. Maybe because somebody else is supporting that, I can, I'm a smart machine, I can go take my energy and do something else with it, right? So with the sustained pressure or traction, the body starts to kind of relax a little bit.
Yep.
And so it's a matter of following that tension point until there's a release.
I think one of the things that has made you so good at what you do is that you understand it and you are a practitioner in it because you've been through it, because you've lived it, and it literally saved you. And I think that's such a huge differentiator, because it allows you to be able to connect with not just the emergency responders and the veterans that come in to see you, but your average everyday person who might have experienced some trauma. So I think this is a great opportunity to give you a shameless plug. How can people meet you, learn more about the company, come visit you? Go, the stage is yours.
Bluebird Massage Therapy and Bodywork is the name of my business. Call me,
Awesome.
860-234-4844.
Listen, I know this isn't easy. For anyone who comes on this show and opens up like this and is willing to share some of their story and their history, it's never easy, but we always have a seat for you guys here at the Whiskey Wall if you're willing to do that. So thank you very, very much for coming. Nice job converting me to birch liqueur. I like it. And
Nice.
Thanks for coming on. Guys, thanks for hitting the share button. God bless America.